Getting too into a hobby at 565? Face Off. Or Vis-a-Vis. We start into Paris working on a 20th century muscle car on the holodeck, and see he's back into his lackadaisical ways of avoiding sickbay shifts, being late for bridge duty, and missing dates with B'Elanna. Voyager encounters a ship in need of repairs to its unique version of technobabble warp drive, and Tom is itching for the chance to help fix it. He gets to know the pilot pretty well, who claims to be a test pilot and will take Tom with him to test some new ships out, then bring him back to Voyager. In reality, the guy uses an ability to transfer consciousness to switch places with Tom. The crew quickly realize the Pretender isn't Tom. Tom's consciousness, sent off unconscious on the test ship, runs into the last person this guy did this to, and they work together to get their own bodies back since they had the same problem. They go back to Voyager, get Tom his body back, and he learns his lesson. Until he finds something else to obsess and lose work time over. And here we are with Tom's next pet project at 564. Obsession. Or Alice. We open into the joke about how old Tuvok might really be as Voyager comes across a space junkyard with lots of odds and ends they might need, headed by John Fleck. In the hall, Tom ends up acquiring a small ship that needs a lot of work. He spends all his free time and takes some spare parts from Voyager unauthorized. When B'Elanna finds out and goes to confront him, the ship itself seals her in and tries to suffocate her before Tom finds her just in time. Tom takes an unauthorized test flight and gets led around by the AI in the computer that keeps presenting as a female that only Tom can see. She leads him to some kind of anomaly that she wants to fly into and destroy herself, which really doesn't make much sense at all. This one can be summed up as this classic meme. The best part of the episode is when the ship takes Tom's voice and morphs it into her own. It's all downhill from there. Becoming zombified at 563.
Resident Evil. Track.
Or Impulse. Enterprise encounters a ship of Vulcans thought lost in the expanse. It's in bad shape in an asteroid field filled with Trellium-D. Vulcans were trying to mine the substance to line their hull with. Turns out this stuff is toxic to Vulcans and turns them into zombies. Though the crew doesn't know this when T'Pol starts falling ill and going insane on the away mission. Archer has to end up destroying the ship to get back to their shuttle pod. Phlox manages to save T'Pol, but declared there was nothing that they could do for the Vulcan crew. This is a classic Resident Evil plot, with locked doors, backtracking, and constant zombie attacks. The lighting goes from mood setting to seizure-inducing kind of annoying, really quick. Dealing with family at 562. Mayweather's only episode. Or Horizon. Travis asks if he can spend a few days on the cargo freighter he grew up on since it's not too far out of their current flight path. Archer agrees. He receives a mixed greeting when he goes home, and his father has recently passed away. His brother, who took control of the ship, doesn't like the fact that he left the cargo service for Starfleet, and rebuffs all of Travis's attempts to help. They're attacked by raiders that attach a bomb to the hull to mark them and return a few days later. Eventually, his brother lets him make the weapons upgrades, and they fight the raiders off, hopefully for good. In the B-plot, Archer takes T'Pol on a professional date to a triple feature of Frankenstein, and they scan an anomalous planet. This is one of the most mediocre and average plots across all Trek. It's a shame that Travis doesn't get more episodes centered around his character. He's really good in many other episodes, but none revolve around his as the main character. Dealing with more family at 561, protection racket, or prodigal daughter. When Chief O'Brien goes missing while on a personal quest to find the widow of a former Orion Syndicate member he got close with, he himself turns up missing. Sisko turns to Ezri since we need some more character development to the show's newest character in the final season, and because her family runs a mining operation in the same system as O'Brien went missing in. The police find him beat up by the Orion Syndicate and deliver him to Ezri's family. He feels like Ezri's family is getting squeezed by the Syndicate and finds that the woman he was looking for and found dead was on Ezri's family's payroll at the behest of the Orions. After a quick game of Clue, it turns out she was killed by Ezri's troubled brother, Norvo, when he thought her demands for more pay were unreasonable. Before Ezri heads back to DS9, she talks her remaining brother into leading a different life, because their mother is really kind of abusive, insensitive, and expects too much of her kids. To the point, she has the audacity to ask if everything falling apart in the end is her fault. And not all of it, but her overbearing ways certainly fueled the fire of the problem.
Opening into another murder at number 560.
Repetition. Or ex post facto. As punishment, Paris is forced to watch a murder he didn't commit every 14 hours. Tuvok spends the rest of the runtime proving his innocence in a very cliché crime drama, almost pre-canned episode. He uses a dog to make his point and get Tom exonerated and the false memories to stop. It's neither bad nor good, and the episode was written before Tom was even cast. My guess is this was written for a completely different type of show, didn't sell, and Voyager ended up with it because it feels like it could have been for any genre, and is shoehorned into a Trek episode. Becoming addicted at 5:59, brainwashed, or the game. We open into Riker chasing a woman around a hotel room on Risa. In true Risian fashion, nothing good will come of it. He brings a head-worn game that seems like it has a lot of microtransaction potential, and hooks the entire crew and brainwashes them. Wesley Crusher is on break from the academy. He comes home and gets a single episode crush that helps him figure out there's something not right on the ship, and Data's been damaged and deactivated. Eventually, even Ashley Judd plays, and then Wesley is on his own in a chase scene to the end of the episode, where Data finally regains consciousness, flashes a strobe light in everyone's eyes, and foils some alien's plot. So, if Riker had just gone to a dance party while on Risa, it would have removed his brainwashing, and this never would have happened?
Returning from the dead is number 558. Resurrection.
Or Ashes to Ashes. A deceased crew member, Ensign Lindsay Ballard, returns as an alien with her memories. Apparently, their population is all converted DNA versions of the dead of other races. Janeway is very skeptical when she first comes to them. The Kabali, the race that she is now, want her back, and Janeway tries to keep her, but eventually Lindsay's transformation makes her realize she doesn't belong there. Considering we don't know anything about this woman, her heartwarming homecoming just doesn't draw the viewer in. There's a B-plot of 7 of 9 trying to play surrogate mother to the Borg kids and failing at most of the turns by being too strict. Not a bad episode, but not a great one either. That poor pot roast, though. Being misunderstood at 5:57, Hollow Rights. Or Author. Now that Voyager has a limited comlink with Earth, even the Doctor is making use of it. He's written a semi-autobiographical holonovel with names and attitudes changed and sends a working copy to the publisher of the Dixon Hill holonovels. The crew run it and aren't impressed with his portrayal of them. In a hilarious bit of satire, Paris redoes the novel to stick it to the Doctor the same way, which after talking to Neelix, the Doctor decides not to publish the novel without much revising. When he contacts the publisher, he's informed his play about holographic rights is about to be the center of a fight infringing on his non-existent holographic rights. A trial 11 minutes at a time ensues for a few days until a Federation arbiter punts on the decision and decides holograms don't have rights, but the Doctor has the right to control his own work. At least some of the mining versions of the Mark I EMH get a copy, and maybe it will start the revolution towards holographic rights. The Doctor was aiming for that to begin with. Very cool stuff. It sucks the way the Doctor treats his comrades initially, but it comes to a satisfying conclusion. Closing out the bottom 200 at 566. Doctor's Dilemmas. Or, Dear Doctor. The intro is the Doctor feeding his animals, for no other reason than to fill time. Then we go to a crew movie night where Phlox is most interested in studying the crew's emotions to the movie. Look, Florida Man is crying. Crewman Cutler, during and after, starts giving him hints that she's interested in him, though toward the end he confronts her about it and she admits to it, and then immediately friend-zones him when he tells her about denobulan triple marriages. Phlox is also writing a letter to his colleague Dr. Lucas throughout, just to add minutes to the runtime. After about a third of the episode, we finally get to the A-plot, in which the Enterprise encounters a pre-warp ship with a crew near death. They discover they're out here trying to find technologically advanced warp cultures that might help save their race from a genetic defect that's killing them off. Upon taking them back to their planet, they find the planet has two sentient races that evolved in parallel. But the one they met first is slightly more evolved. Phlox does find a cure, but isn't sure if he should even tell Archer about it, let alone give it to these people. He's afraid of disturbing natural selection on this planet. In the end, Archer decides that they need a prime directive, and they're not out here to play God. People that hate the prime directive in Trek hate this episode for this. For me, it's the good part of the episode, and I agree with Archer. My problem is with the mess of adding a B and C plot just to get a full runtime.
Ah, computer.
That program is available.
Thanks, Majel. Majel. Thanks, Majel.
All entries to sickbay are secured.
Thanks, Majel.
Please enter authorization code.
Majel.
9 minutes, 4 seconds.
Thanks, Majel.
Unable to comply.
Thanks, Majel.
End of program.
Thanks, Majel. The fragrance was stunning while we